let the game begin. Okay, hello everyone. And now you are participating in the workshop Modern Web Test Automation in Java Stack, which will be held together with Umit. And just a short notice, you don't need to have your notebook open, so you're not supposed to repeat the things after me, because you will probably won't have enough time to get the things running. But you can actually try to do it afterwards, watching the recording. So we will do some live codings. We'll at least try to do it. If something go wrong, I also prepared some code which is already tested and checked in, so we have also backup plan. But I hope that we will use this 90 minutes also to just show a little bit hands-on how do we write tests. Okay, so I will start with introduction, and I will introduce myself. I am a test automation senior manager in Accenture. I'm from Germany, living there for more than 20 years, and this whole time I was working in different projects as a software developer and tester. Also, I made some contribution to a couple of mainstream open source projects. And beginning from 2014, I've started talking at the conferences, and now I'm kind of having fun talking at the conferences. Unfortunately, in Corona years, it was almost nothing there, nothing offline. Also, this conference is just online, but I hope to see some of you perhaps later also on a conference somewhere at a real venue. Okay. So another fact funny fact about me, I have started learning Japanese a couple of years ago, and actually for no particular reason. So, konnichiwa minasan, let's begin. And for now, I will hand over to my co-speaker today, Umit.
Yeah, thanks, Alexei. So hi everyone, it's Umit talking. So who am I? I was graduated from Izmir Institute of Technology in 2015 as computer engineer, and I'm a former Java developer, currently a software tester who has 7 years of experience in software engineering. And I had a chance to work in different industries such as telecommunication, mobile, web IoT. And in my 7 years of experience in this industry, I have done manual test, automation test, and led project test responsibilities, acted as Scrum Master. And so I have taken part in majority of areas in the software test. And currently, I am software developer in Test and Accenture, and I am leading a team of test architects. So what does this test architect team do in Accenture? Before answering that, I think it's better to explain how Accenture Turkey works. Probably most of you know that Accenture is not a product-based company, it's a service-based company. So it assists its product-based clients in solving their critical issues and provides them optimized solution. And I will explain in detail at the end of this session. So yeah, what this test architect do in this big picture? First of all, our main responsibility is to take part in solutioning process. When an RFP, request for proposal, arises from SA team, we prepare high-level test strategy and create a test automation architecture if needed. Other than that, we do advising to all projects along location. And finally, we build and develop test asset to contribute in project's quality. So that's all about me. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Umit. So let's go to the plan. Actually, we have a lot to do for today. And let me outline the agenda. So first we will look at our test application. So application under tests that we will be testing. Then we will write some tests. Then we will talk about integration it in CI/CD processes, reporting, scaling up test, and at the end, as Umit already said, a couple of words about Accenture in Turkey. So I think it's the time to begin with some practical tasks. So the first is test application. Yeah. So this is a very simple test application, which was built, or rather, I would rather say generated with JHipster tool. It's actually also quite interesting instrument, which enables you to quickly generate a complex application for Java and JavaScript stack very easily. And I'm using it for creating sandbox application to be like, you know, sandbox platforms for testing, but it also can be used for production ready applications and helps you to start very quickly with a code base, with a pre-generated code base. Actually, also this JHipster generates a lot of prepared unit test or integration test for you, so you could also look up in the generated source code to learn something about how to write tests. So the application is pretty simple. It's a CRUD application, so I will just sign in. Then I go here in the menu, tickets. It's a list of tickets, just simple table with operation about creating, editing, and deleting of tickets. Then I will, in my flow, create some ticket and save it. Just give some information, save it. Then after that, the next step would be editing the ticket and setting it to done. Again, clicking on save and controlling that it was actually set to done, checking the table. And after the test, we will go to a delete button and delete this ticket. So I'll leave it here just for demonstration at the moment. Okay, so that was it about test application, and let's continue with with automation. Okay, I don't think if it was worth it just showing this slide. So we will automate our tests with a library called Selenite. So Selenite is a wrapper library over Selenium. So Selenium, as you may know, is more of a low-level instrument, which also allows you to do testing. I call it so, but actually, in most cases, you need to either write your own framework to be able to write the Selenium test faster to reusing some functionality, or you can just take one of the modern wrappers which are already written for you, like Protector in JavaScript, or there are actually a couple of dozens instruments and libraries that I know, and Selenite is just one of them. So in this case, we are using Java 11. And as a building instrument, I use Gradle. So the two most popular instruments for building Java software are also running tests are Maven and Gradle. And Maven is a little bit older. I prefer Gradle because it develops faster in last years. And also, it's possible to configure it with less lines of code. If you know Maven, there are typically larger, just longer POM XML files, POM XML files needed for configuration, and Gradle allows you to do the same, basically with less code, so more concise. We'll go fast through this configuration file for Gradle. So just saying, okay, it's Java project, and we are using Maven central repository, not to be confused with Maven tool, because Maven central repository is just repository of the biggest repository of Java libraries and tools in general, which can be downloaded and used in your projects. Yes, then I'm setting up for Java version 11. So also we now have already Java version 17 as a long time support version. I still stick to 11. One of the reasons is that actually I like some features of Java version 11 that I actively use in testing, but I never used one of the feature of Java 17 in testing. So actually it doesn't make any difference for me, 11 or 17. So this, okay, then I will jump to this dependency section. Dependency section just telling us which libraries we are going to use. And this is JUnit 5. Of course, we just going to use a modern, the most modern testing framework in Java. It's JUnit 5. JUnit 4 is older one, and TestNG is also competitor programs, competitor product for actually with similar features. Some prefer TestNG. I go for JUnit 5. So actually doesn't matter that much. You can use Selenite with both of them. Then of course Selenite itself, and this one dependency helps me to get a little bit more of the logs. Especially this is also standard configuration, so-called SLF for Java, which helps you to get the output for every third-party library which is used in your project in the same login file. For example, this project will be using, perhaps some of you have heard about it, WebDriver Manager, which helps you to automatically download and install the WebDriver, Selenium WebDriver, which is compatible with your actual version of your browser. So you don't need to look for it, download it manually, configure it. So it's everything is done automatically. But in my experience, in some heavy enterprise environments, you may have some firewalls or proxies, some connectivity issues, and enabling more logging from this WebDriver Manager piece of software will help you to identify what goes wrong in case there are some restriction in your network. But typically, I would say if you just try this project in your home environment, everything will be working just for scratch just fine. So this is typical for modern open source projects. They are just working with no additional, there's no need for additional configuration in typical environment, which is not very restrictive. So this line is a hint for Gradle to run this whole testing with JUnit 5. So actually, you may read here JUnit Jupyter. Here's the version 5 and JUnit Platform. These are three different wording for actually the same project. So it's actually JUnit 5 is also called Jupyter project and also sometimes called JUnit Platform. So unfortunate as it is, but we have synonyms for the same thing, but it's basically the same. And this little line, I've heard it's still necessary for some environments to enforce the right coding, because unfortunately not just older Windows machines, but also some newer Windows machines too have encoding not in UTF-8. So you would otherwise on some machines would have some problems if you're working with encoding other than standard Latin, like Turkish or German with umlauts and so on. So it's also a good option just to set it get it handled yet. So okay, that's configuration and the test. So typically just a very simple class using test annotation of Jenkins 5. I here pre-created a plan, so to say, what we are going to do. So start, open page, sign in, create ticket, save ticket, and so on. So we will just go through the steps. And to open the page, there is a very simple open command for Selenite. And we are given the URL of our page, which is, I guess, this one. Yes, that's it. So the next is sign-in process. So I'll just show you the page. So this page, we will click here and enter our data. I will also do it very quickly. So the $sign is for defining elements, so similar for jQuery, who know it, and also it's used in various other libraries nowadays. And I will just go for selector with text. We'll just go for this text and click on it. Oh, at the moment, I think this code is self-explained. I will static import some of the classes to make this source code shorter and also without losing readability, because actually I think it's pretty simple to understand what's happening. The next, I've looked up the fields. They are also very simple. They have IDs, and I will log in here with some user data. So just a moment. I think I forgot to copy one file. Yeah. Okay. Then the password, I will do here a little trick. Security trick is also pretty common. I defined my password in on this property file. Which I will be okay. I have showed it shortly. not supposed to be shown. So it's the file where I save my password as a system property. And then I'm reading it out and setting it here. So for this to work, I need to add just one line in my configuration file, Gradle. Something like this. Okay. To pass this property file to this test. And I suggest we will just start this test. So you can already use the chat for your questions if you are interested. So of course, we will not leave any sleeps in the code afterwards, but just for now to have the browser opened for a couple of seconds to see if we are doing it right. I will put a sleep here and actually start the test. Okay, it's opening. It's opening. It's opening on the second screen. But as you can see, it was successfully. It has did the login. So okay, at least the basic setup was correct. Oh, no, it's the wrong one. And I will just copy a couple of lines here. So also very simple. Find text entity and click on it, ticket on it, and create a new ticket. It's actually this sequence. The sequence we had. So this ticket and clicking on create new ticket, this one. Yes. Then let's save it. So can also show the page. So we will be entering some text in this title field. So again, this field has ID, field title, which we'll be using right here. And of course, we could create some constant title here to use in our test. But of course, we want from our test to be repeatable. And let's imagine that that we'll be creating a ticket always with the same name. And we could have two problems. The first problem is that if so we actually are going to delete it afterwards, so it should be no problem if everything works fine. But imagine we will have a bug, then this ticket with this name will be left there and will probably be disturbing us at the next test runs. And also having more than one title with exactly the same name will make for us difficult to differentiate between these titles in the further run of our test. So it's always a good idea to create some dynamic test names. For now, I just edit milliseconds time after the title name test, just to have every time a distinctive, unique name for my title. And one practical tip: it's actually need not to be uniquely in the whole world. So I could use something like UID, which is always unique, very unique, but it's in most cases it's just enough to make something like this, or even some shorter abbreviation. Yeah, because the chances that it will have the same value every time is very, very small. So okay, so we go for it and save in the ticket. Okay, for example, let me run it once again. So, and then I propose we will implement some checking to look. So after we save the ticket, if it was really created in this table. Yes, and in Selenide, we can do it also quite easy. So delete the slip again. First, I'm selecting the element where I want to do the search, and let's say entities table, that it will be the full table. So this this full table, which I'm going to use something like this. Yes, this whole table, I will be searching for some text. And what should it be? Should have text. Of course, our title. So yeah, I think it's also pretty well readable. So we're saving it, and then we are looking at the table, and this table should have this text title. Okay. Next, editing the ticket. So I have created here a short method, helper method, to be able to dynamically edit any title with given title. So it's actually this selector is a little bit more complicated than this one, but it's also pretty well readable. Yes, so we are searching for the text, and we taking the parent element of it in the DOM, and then some other, so like edit looks like edit button, and we're clicking on it. So now so it's this code will be then independent on sorting, so we don't need to depend if our new created ticket is the first in the line or last in the line or whatever. So just will find it whenever it is. So, and I go to edit this ticket with name title again. Oops. Then another couple of one check, just in case I'm checking that this field, this checkbox. So we're going like in this mode. This done. I look that it's not checked yet. Then I click on it and save it. So the idea is so to just select it and save it. And then the next step, I want to look that that in the table, it is really was set to done. And for that, I also have written one helper method. Also actually very short and simple, just one liner. Exactly the same reason I want to be able to find these fields dynamically depending on the title, and then I will use it like this. So I will find this field done for this title, and it should have text too. Okay. Just to save some time, I will copy the rest of the text, the rest of the test, and the last helper method this time is also for deleting the ticket, which is depending on the title. And here we just need 2 steps, because after I click on delete, there comes a pop-up message, so I need to click and delete once again. These are these 2 lines, and after that, so every test, it's very important, every test must end with a check. So sometimes it's reasonable to have some checks in between, like this one and this one, but at the end it's necessary, because sometimes we click on delete and nothing happens actually, but the test is already at the last line, so we will never understand that the deletion hasn't actually worked. So at the moment if we are deleting this test, this item, just watch carefully. There is a pop-up message, a small alert message, and then it is disappearing. Yes. So I will start it. And here's the check for this. So I see that this alert message has text ticket is deleted. And after that, you can see everything is fine. After that, I'm checking that this text, so actually exactly the same check as before, but now, so this lines checks if the text was there, and now this lines checks the test that this text is not there anymore, so it is deleted. So as you can see, everything is pretty simple, and I haven't used any weights because Selenite has automatically under the hood handles weighting in a smart way, so we don't need to any custom weights actually, at no place at all. It's still working. Also, this page is actually dynamic, pretty dynamic. If you write it with plain Selenium without using weight, it won't work because you need to do weighting. Yes, but you don't need it using Selenite or some other framework like Cypress or Playwright. So they also have implemented the similar mechanisms that you don't need to care about waiters so much. Okay, so now that's it. We have written the test, and I think we are ready now and can go home, because what else do we need? Do you agree with me? Is it enough? So this is test. I can run it in my computer. Please go to chat and tell me your opinion. Can we end our workshop already? Because what else do we need? Is it enough, guys and girls? So I'll be pushing git commit. Just push it into repository. Meanwhile, no opinion. Just use chat. So, okay. In my opinion, in the year 2022, and also already many years before that, running a test on your machine is not good enough. So never. If you are talking about test automation, if you run a script and it only runs on your machine, you are actually not ready on automation. Exactly. Only working local is not enough. So yeah, sure, it may work on your machine, but actually you just postpone. So we actually need you and your machine to do test automation. So we are actually not that well automated yet. And now I want to hand over to Umit, and he will show you the next part. Umit, you will probably need to take over the screen sharing. Yes, I will stop my screen sharing.
Okay.
Now have luck.
Alexei, for this valuable information. Yeah, so as Alexei has already mentioned, it's not enough. First, we need to also integrate our code into a CI pipeline. But before jumping in the topic, let's discuss about what is CI and CD. So CI stands for continuous integration, and CD stands for continuous delivery and continuous deployment. Continuous integration is a practice that involves developers making small changes and checks if their code is working fine. So this is the first step. And once CI is completed, then continuous delivery comes, and it's automated delivery of completed code into different environments like testing and development, etc. And continuous deployment is the next step. In this picture is the last step. Every change that passes this automated test is automatically placed in production, so resulting in many production deployments. And there are some well-known CI/CD tools such as Jenkins, CircleCI, AWS Code Build, Azure DevOps, Travis CI, etc. So today I'm going to show you Jenkins in our case. So we will define a Jenkins pipeline, and we need a Jenkins file that describes testing stages. So let's start with creating our pipeline from scratch. So I'm going to create a new item, select pipeline, and let's give it a name, Live2Test workshop. And okay. So we need to do some configurations. Firstly, we need a Jenkins file. Here I'm going to refer to Jenkins file in our code repository, source code management in Git. So that's why I need to check the pipeline script from SCM option. I have already defined our remote repository here. Sorry, I need to define now. I copy and paste repository URL. And I have set credentials. I'm going to use my own credential. And yeah, as you see, there's no error. Connection is working fine. And the branch I'm going to use is Live2Test, the branch that Alexei has already committed his code. And lastly, we need to also give the path of Jenkins file in the source code. So the name is UI-suite.jenkins file. Okay, so I have prepared the pipeline, but is it enough? No, because we need to also configure Jenkins file as we referred in pipeline. So let's create a Jenkins file. Okay, Jenkins file. So this is what Jenkins file looks like. And I need to configure a stage for testing, and here we name it web test. And the command to execute test using Gradle is this: sh Gradle test. So, okay, we can just define the test like this and execute from pipeline. But same question also from my end. Is it enough? So you think the test will run when we just simply start execute this command in the pipeline? Is there any opinion?
There is a tricky question. So I also typically add that, just imagine, so it will be running on Jenkins, and we installed on Jenkins Java already, and let's say Gradle. So this pipeline will be running, but will this test be executed properly, or do we miss something?
Yes.
You can.
Oh,
you can, if someone knows what is missing. So that's, of course, there's a hack here, so trick here. So something is missing. What is typically missing? Or it's typical problem of the beginners. Okay, we have no answer. So
okay.
No, so libraries, everything is there except for one important thing, which you have on your computer, but typically you won't have it on Jenkins if you have just Java and libraries and everything installed, but not this cornerstone of UI testing process.
Yeah.
And this is there. Okay. So you want to say it? What it is?
Yeah. I can maybe answer the question. So it's browsers itself. So there's not any browser installed in Jenkins machine. So we need to also define or install browser or define a remote browser to access and use. So in our case, we are going to use a remote browser that's already prepared in advance by dear Alexei. So we need to pass this remote address of browser in our test command. So this is the URL of browser, the stream spaces. This is the URL of browser, and I'm going to pass one more parameter to set browser size, browser window size. Yes, okay. We are almost done. We need to do some little configurations here because we are going to use Selenite in Jenkins server. We need to pass some parameters. This already here. First of all, let's add. Okay, you want to add it. Let me add here. So any Selenite properties here, we add it into system properties. And one workaround solution here we need to pass is that Gradle is an performance optimized build tool, so it uses a caching mechanism to save time when there is not any change in source code. So yeah, in our case, our test script might not change, but the system under test might change. So we want our test to run every time execution command is sent. So okay, let me check here if everything is fine. It seems like fine. Let's commit changes. And push to remote repository. Let me quickly double check. Okay. Okay. So let's start build. And check the logs while it's running. So as you see, it's getting the last commit. I have sent with the comment of updated Jenkins file, so the test will be started running. Yes, it's running. So we are in the task of test. So as you can see here, the test started running properly. Now anyone can start the test, no matter who he is, a developer, tester, or even a project manager can start test easily by clicking one button. You don't have to clone code, change something, update configuration, etc. Once it's defined, Jenkins is doing everything for you already. So I think it's about to finish. Let me check again. Yeah, okay. I have passed wrong URL with wrong port number. I'm going to cancel abort this job and update port number. It's an old one. So if commit. Okay, yes. So let's build again. Is there any questions so far?
So actually, there were some questions, and I'm answering them in chat without interrupting you. So yeah. So if other participants are interested, you could also look up the chat.
Okay. Yeah. So build is successful. Tests are run, completed, and we can see the logs of run, and you can even check under workspace the reports of JUnit. So yeah, but I'm asking again, so is it enough yet? So let's say you are doing this kind of development, and would you say, okay, I'm completed, and now I can just increase test case count and use the existing Jenkins pipeline? I guess this is already questions answered previously by Emre. So we need reporting. We need to integrate also reporting here. Let's go on to the next part. So we need to integrate a reporting tool here. Why we need to do it is that because existing logs, console logs already describes what happens while the test is running, but it's not good enough. In many cases, it's not user-friendly for me and not readable. It's hard to find and analyze issues directly from console logs. That's why reporting tools take place here. Test automation report in the software development lifecycle is like blueprint of the test that shows how the script is executed, whether it's passed or failed, why it is passed, why it failed, etc. And also these reports can be used by developers or testers to analyze any defect. And the reporting tool that I'm going to show you today is Allure. I think you are already familiar with Allure, or at least heard of Allure. It's one very well-known reporting tool, which has very fancy and useful UI, many features, graphs, etc., which helps analyzing the test execution. It also has integration with many test automation frameworks it's used to use and integrate. So let's integrate Allure in our project. So first of all, we need to define plugin, Allure plugin in Gradle, build Gradle file. This is the plugin, Allure plugin. We use version 2.9, and we need to also pass this dependency so that it installs missing files automatically. And lastly, we also need to add a stage here, task here called Allure. Okay, is it enough? Not yet, because we need to also add it into Jenkins file as a post action, because this is the stage of testing. We need one more task, one more step. It's called post action. Okay, I already have I have prepared copy here and paste. Yes, so in this post action, all this report will be published as artifact in Jenkins. And yeah, okay, we need to add some little configurations here. We need to add a listener for Allure, Selenite Allure, and let me add quickly. So import missing classes.
Would perhaps add a couple of comments. So this Allure plugin is actually optional. Even if you won't add this dependency and use it, it will be still working. But because Allure and Selenium are well integrated with each other, you will see a lot of more useful information on your test with just a couple of these boilerplate lines. So it's not just, it's just a small addition to standard Allure.
Yes. Thank you, Alexei. And one last thing we need to do here is that we are already calling some external methods here to be able to see that in the reports. We need to annotate them as step. Let's add step annotations. So it seems like fine. Let me check Jenkins file, build file. Okay, it seems like fine. Let's commit and see if it's working fine. So integrated Allure reports. Push. Okay, the changes are pushed. So let's run our Jenkins job once again. You don't need to do any extra configuration. And let's see what happens.
Also ask the question if someone knows why why we are putting this Allure configuration in a post action part of the pipeline, not as another stage. Someone have the idea, please write it in the chat. Or otherwise I will tell you the answer perhaps in a minute. So we could of course do it as another stage, but the typical default behavior of the stages is that one stage, the first stage is failing, the other stages are not executed. This fail fast principle, which is actually quite good idea. But in regard to reporting, of course, we want to run our reporting every time, and actually, especially if something is failing, we want to see our reports. So that's the reason we want to do it anyway. And the typical configuration of Jenkins pipeline is just to do it as a post action. So it will be executed anyway, no matter which stage will be failing.
Okay, thanks, Alexei, for this information. Yeah, execution is completed. As you can see, we have one more stage here, and In the third run that I integrated Allure, we can see icon of Allure, and we can click and navigate to Allure reports. You see, it has a fancy UI, but not filled with many information because we have run just for the first time and we don't have much test cases. But okay, let's see in detail how it looks when the test is executed. So it's exactly similar to a structure of test case. So you see steps, actions, and results. So you can see what happened and what happens in case of failure, etc. It's really easy to read and understand and analyze any problems thanks to this reporting integration. Okay, we have discussed about also failures, but in our case, there's not any failure. Everything is fine, tests have passed. But let's say developer changed a part of code and your test starts failing, how it looks like. Okay, I'm going to change source code of bug tracker application. I'm already connected to the host machine in which bug tracker application is hosted. I'm going to break some part of application. So as Alexei has shown previously, while updating ticket, you can select the checkbox called done, and when you click to done, the set to done flag becomes false. Let's say developer accidentally change it to false. So every time, even if it's completed, the status is false. Okay, I have broken the code. I need to restart the application. Let's find process ID of application. So yeah, it's here, kill it. And restart. The process. Okay, so it will take some time until bug tracker application is up. It should not take much time.
But I can meanwhile perhaps show a couple of features in Allure report. If you can bring either the report or the source code, I can perhaps just mention a couple of nice features.
Sure.
Yeah. For example, as you can see here on the right side, you see automatically. So at no cost, we haven't even configured somewhere. You have the timing. So how long did one command take? Yeah. And so in some cases, there could be some performance issues, and you can easily identify the spots where your program was hanging. So another one are these so-called steps. As you can see here, done for title and delete with title, delete ticket with title. If you could shortly switch for the source code. I think so. It just also actually there are a lot of more features in Allure, and of course we don't have time to show them all today. But it's actually as simple as just scroll a little bit down. Yeah. Just put in a step annotation. Yes, for these small methods. Putting the step annotation helps you to have these steps in the report with their names. Yes. And you also can have a step inside of steps, so you can group it accordingly. And it's very simple to do these annotations and have the report which with a very little effort helps the others. So it's typically so if you are the test developer, you will probably know your test very well, so you don't even need to use all these tricks, because you will understand what you are doing, except for if you will let this test stay somewhere for a couple of months. And even my experiences, after, like, let's say 2, 3, 5 months, you are looking at your own code and you cannot understand what have I done if you don't do this kind of tricks. But for now, with this, as you can see, little effort, not only you, but any other developer or tester, or even project manager, or product owner, or business analyst, they can look into it and watch, okay, what is the test actually doing now? So really understands what is happening. Okay, is the application there? Hope?
Yes, application is up. Let's add quickly some fancy stuff of Allure. It has annotation of epic and story. I would like to show also this part. Let's say this class includes tests for Live2Test epic, and our test case, sorry, is under user story of test creation, ticket creation. And let's add also severity here. Let's say the severity of this ticket is high, and let me, okay, critical. And we can all even add this kind of useful metadata into the test reports. Lastly, let's add also description. Verify that tickets can be created. Okay, I'm quickly committing the changes. And pushing changes and executing the Jenkins job to see how it acts in case of failure. Okay, let's start quickly. It will take a little bit longer than the scenario where it's passed, because it will look for element for specific amount of time. So once it can't find element, it will fail the case and generate report with failure. Okay, it's failed. Around 40 seconds, good. So let's see what is in our report. You see the test is failed. Let's say you want to know why it is failed. Click on suite and you see element should have text true, but it has false. So expected condition is to element to have true, but it has false. So it's failed in this step. So you can even check screenshot to you see screenshot for analysis purposes, or even attach in your report mails. So as you can see, the done field is false instead of true, because we expect it to be true. And let's see also graphs here. So as we have tagged our test case with critical, so in this trend chart, you can see one test is failed and it's critical. You can even see duration trend and categories trend chart as well, and you can just use it for your own reporting purposes. And lastly, I have added epic and story text, right? You can see under behavior. So this is epic Live2Test, and under epic we have test creation story. And yes, you can even use this place and download the report as CSV for better reporting purposes. Yeah, okay. So it's all for Allure part. And I am asking one last time, is it good enough? Let's say you have more than one test cases, and you would like to execute these cases in parallel to save from time. So in this part, Alexei will be talking about scaling up. And yeah, thank you.
So yes, so sorry, now I'm taking over again.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, let me share my screen. So now actually for this workshop, it's kind of okay to finish where we are now, because you know, we have just one test and we have no performance issues, so everything is just fine. But of course you can imagine that pretty soon in your real project you will have hundreds of tests, perhaps many hundreds of tests, and there will be some performance issue. And I want to ask you, hope there will be some responses in the chat. How are you having regularly nightly runs which are taking, like, let's say more than 4 or 5 hours? So one second, you see my screen? Yes. So I've lost my chat. Where is my chat? My chat. Okay.
Go up, yeah.
Yeah, now I mean yeah, I have too many windows open here, but I got it. So the problem I know at many projects, so they actually are very you know, diligent and writing a lot of tests and then executing them all sometimes at nights. And the tester first, the feedback loop is very slow. Like some of the tests are running actually 8 hours in project which I was working at. And another problem is that when tests are flaky, when there are a lot of tests and tests are flaky, then some of them, and sometimes when you have a lot of tests, and also a lot of tests are failing without a proper reason. Flaky test is that sometimes it runs well and sometimes not. So it takes just a lot of time to reproduce it and to understand what is happening. And you know, you think, for example, you fixed some tests and you want to test it once again all together, another 8 hours. Yeah, so basically in some project the test engineers are whole time, so full like just working full time, just executing the test and fixing them without any value of you know, writing new test or analyzing the real problem. So just the whole turnaround of repairing the flaky tests. So I mean of course the tests that are failing without a reason. And it's not in 2022, it's not the state of the art which should be. So of course we have a technical possibility to actually run as many, almost as many tests as we want in parallel. Yes, so it will just cost us a little bit of hardware, but today hardware is pretty cheap, and it's getting even cheaper when we're using cloud. So we can we must not even reserve some expensive server, but just to use it like on demand. So if we running a lot of tests and their test servers could be automatically created and then deleted after the test run is done. So in one of the projects we had a really heavy test. So our tests were taking something from 30 seconds to 90 seconds of time. It was almost no potential to make one test shorter because it has used very slow APIs. Yes, and okay, you couldn't cut this down anymore. But still, we have managed to run around 300 of these tests in under 15 minutes. So actually, our goal was 10 minutes, but we managed it under 15 minutes. So the basic idea is we have started as the most of the project like with 10 tests and with 20 tests and 50 tests, and every time the time was going over this 10 or 15 minutes line. We have extended our hardware, so we took a little more servers and we parallelized a little more. So we always had this fast feedback at the end of the day, and it helps really to do the very efficient development. So we have managed to get to the baseline where our all tests are passing, so everything is nice, and then so the tests were failing very often because because we have written some fragile tests, but because software changes has managed to create this typical regression problem. So something was working, then new feature was written, which was also working, but its features broke some other features. And it was possible to realize this problem, under 15 minutes of time. So I make my changes, I ran this testing suite, and in 15 minutes I know there is a problem. And because as a developer, the software developer who is changing the code, I'm still in this flow. So I've just made the changes. It was also extremely easy to find out the problems. And the most of developers said just, okay, yeah, sure, I just have forgot about it, and they quickly fixed this problem. So it was basically I think around 90% of these problems were fixed already in the same day as they were introduced in the code. And because we run this test at least once a day, so it was really a very efficient process. And let's try to do the same here. Okay, so and here I will want to introduce to you one really nice tool, which is called Selenoid and Selenoid Grid. So just in case, Selenoid from Selenoid, it was AeroCube. It's documentation, and it's the company which implements it. It's also free and open source for usage in Docker. And if you want to use it with Kubernetes, there is also another version of it which is licensed, but it also helps very much. So it's actually Selenoid is compatible to Selenium Grid, so 100% compatible. So if you are using in the project Selenium Grid, you can exchange it for Selenoid without breaking anything. Yes, and Selenoid is basically, you can understand as Selenium Grid technology, but with its own implementation. So the protocols are the same, so the interface is the same, but the implementation, so they say it's more stable. And at least I know that with Selenium 3, it was really more stable, because Selenium Grid with Selenium 3 was not very stable. With Selenium 4, I've heard that Selenium Grid was getting better, but still, Selenoid is at least as stable as Selenium Grid. And Selenoid has some features out of the box which Selenium Grid doesn't have, and which of course you could implement it somehow. but you know, it saves a lot of time. Just so even you just need to configure and this feature, and it's already working. So in this example, I want to show you something. And here, this is a Selenium grid, Selenoid grid. So it means that actually this installation has 3 Selenoid containers, 3 instances of Selenoid combined together. And every of these instances theoretically can handle up to 5 browsers. Up to 5 browsers simultaneously. So actually, I can start here even more than 5 browsers simultaneously, and they will just be waiting until, you know, this quota of 5 will be free again. So it's technically no problem to start as many threads as you want. They will be just queued, so they will not run automatically. But here, a word of warning, because I've actually used a lot of time to understand what's happening, and it's a typical also beginner's problem, I think, when you experiment with these things, is that I was using cloud, and I was using cheap cloud machines to experiment with this, and it was actually my problem, because every browser it ups RAM and CPU, and approximately one browser, like, you need at least 1 CPU and 1 gigabyte of RAM. Sometimes you also have some other software on this virtual machine. That was actually the main reason of my problem, because I had some security software installed and on the same machine, and I have underestimated it. You know, how much of RAM and CPU it takes, and my cloud machine were crashing when I started too many instances of browser in them. So you need to have adequate hardware. So just my advice: don't give up if your machines are crashing. Perhaps, so the most popular reason is that they're just too weak, because it's too easy to create a simple machine that will be working with 1 browser, with 2 browsers, and you will start 5 browsers and it will be crashing. Just don't underestimate that the browsers still. So this takes resources, and you should not save too much on the hardware in this case, because it's actually pretty cheap. So it's not a big deal to create more processors. It's theoretically 15, but we will not use as many. I think we will just try to use 2 instances just to show the point, to demonstrate the point. And so let's have a look at the reports. What are we having now? Okay, Jenkins. Okay, the last report. Okay, something was wrong. I hope the test will be doing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I will just start with the beginning, and let me try to do here something. Okay. Merge conflicts. Okay. I guess I need to do some merging. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Check it to done. Okay, or I will just my backup and change the source code to save some time. Okay, that is the problem I'm experiencing now is because this time, so I was doing this presentation already for myself, and of course I was working alone, and changing the code was not a big deal. And now we have together with Umit, we changed the code into different direction, and actually it's not merging as seamlessly as it was as I was doing my own code. Okay, so let's take a moment. I will I will fix it and I will explain simultaneously what I'm trying to do. So to demonstrate the matter, sorry, just one, I can't. Okay, so sorry. So I've just copied the very same file 8 times. The very same test 8 times. Okay, let me just delete this one and copy it again. Okay. I hope we will manage to fix it quickly. So, okay, let's do it like this. Accept yours, accept yours. Ticket creation. Okay, let's do it like this first. We'll commit this. So there are just the same tests, but now there are 8 of them. Git push. Okay, it worked. I will run the test. We will see if it will be working. So let's run it once again. So the idea is to simulate that we are having some motors, not just one. Okay. And let's look at configuration. Okay, they're all working, they're all running on one machine. And I will git merge. That's the next part to it.
Just quick reminder, we have last 7 minutes as informed by Barış.
Okay. Oops. But we started, I think we started 10 minutes later. Yep, so we may use the last 10 minutes. So is it there? What is wrong? Is it okay? Get started. Fix it, but still merge and git commit. Yes. Okay. And git push. Okay, I understand. I had made a mistake, I think. I've used the wrong option. Sorry for that. Well, except there should be the better option. Okay. So let's see. Now I think it's right. Okay. So this is a test, and another one. Okay, I just need to restart it once again. Okay. So basically, the following. It's not now the best view, but as you can see, the tests were run consequently. So it took some time to run them all because they were run not parallel, but one after another. And in this action, so I will save some time just showing you. Okay, yeah, exactly. I will just run it once again. make it more. Oh, sorry. Once again. And then I will fix this test to run it in 2 threads. So it's just this little change. Run the test in 2 threads. And I also add some configuration. So typically we were starting just a standard Chrome browser, and now I was using this configuration of Selenoid and enabled VNC and video features of it. There is a little, you need to write a little more code when using it with Selenoid or when with any other framework, but it's actually real boilerplate code. So typical boilerplate code. So you will just copy it for every project, and it's nothing special for our project here. So just standard code. So let's run it afterwards once again with this parallel option. So git commit and git push. Hopes it will do it. No, I forgot. No, everything is done. Yes, everything is done. So after this test will be ready, I will start another one. Yes, so they are running here one by one. And okay, I've started the second one. Okay, so, and here you can see, let's try to get to it. Yes, as you can see, so you can see what is happening here during test execution. So VNC feature automatically allows you to watch your tests. Yes, in case there are some visual problems, you don't understand what's happening, you can actually watch what is happening. Yeah, very nice feature, and it just configured, so you basically don't install anything. And simultaneously, the second feature which I have configured is a video recording. A video recording is done at just a moment. Done as every single node separately. So there is a video tab, and here, as you can see, here are the videos for every session. So if something goes wrong, you can find the according video for this session and watch what was happening. So without, as you have understand, we haven't actually changed our test at all. So it was just configuring the Selenoid, and we now have an option of having video to our test without changing our test code at all. Yes, and once again, a low report, I think that will be, yeah. So it's visually more clear now. So this is a test, and it's like every run of this test is running one after another. Yes, and after this job is ready, we must see. So we probably need another minute. We will see that it was working with 2 threads. And you can see at this moment, you don't see any time benefit in it yet, because it's not actually because the video recording is making the test slower. Actually, it doesn't make them slower per se, but because of our virtual machines are pretty low profile, the recording, it's up processor time and it's up RAM as well. So the tests are in this case a little bit slower because video recording is using more resources, and it slows down the whole machine. So if you have a machine with many a lot of RAM and CPUs, it won't be slower. Probably be a couple of percent slower, but not that much. As you can see, it was run simultaneously and 2 threads, and it's also extendable to 5 thread, 10 thread, 50 threads. Everything is possible. Okay, and actually there are a lot of just one way to to
sorry to
run it in
interrupt,
parallel.
Alexei.
Yeah.
Just one thing I need to inform people here. At 2:10, there will be keynote in main room. So just for your information.
Okay, then
Sorry
we
to
will have.
interrupt.
Okay,
Yeah.
we need to wrap up. So the last word about it. So it's just one of the possibility to run it in parallel. So you can run parallel on JUnit level. You can run in parallel in Gradle level, and this is how we did it. And there are also different options for it. So sometimes it's a good idea to tweak and select something which suits you the best. So okay, that's actually was it for technical part. And now I would ask you to ask your questions in chat. And meanwhile, I will hand over to again to Umit, and he will perhaps say a couple of words. So please ask your questions. Yes, and meanwhile, Umit will tell a couple of words about Accenture in Turkey.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Alexei. Because we are almost out of time, I quickly jump to Accenture in Turkey. So Accenture Turkey is located in Pendik, Technopark Pendik. It's very close to Sabiha Gökçen Airport, and we are more than 100 employees under 5 different teams. So these teams are application, cloud platforms, mobile, embedded and testing team, and I'm working under testing team. We work in many different industries such as automotive, medical technologies, industrial equipments, and so on. And Accenture supports clients' digital transformation from the different aspects globally, and our team in Istanbul is working with and for global clients in several continents, such as you can see also, Honda in Japan, Roche in Switzerland, Kone in Finland, Daimler in Germany, Apple in USA, and CNH in Italy, etc. And as I mentioned previously, Accenture is not a product company. It provides services to product companies, product-based clients, and thanks to that, we have chance to work in different areas, to use different technologies, have experience in different domains. In one project, you might do a test in mobile application project and use Appium, whereas in another project, you may test a web application using Selenium, Selenite, Playwright, etc., according to need of client. And lastly, we do as test capability test team, we develop our own in-house tools, assets to aid in increasing project quality. For example, one of our clients was producing a Bluetooth device, and we had them increasing the robustness of their device by testing variety of features. And one critical important feature was this pairing process, and they want to test it continuously. And it's really hard to automate this process because user interaction is needed. Probably all of you are aware of Bluetooth process. You need to click start in trigger processing operation from device and start the pairing in application. So this user interaction is very hard to automate. So we have developed our own solution. We have developed a 3-axis robotic arm printed with 3D printers. And we created a project called Helios and integrated into this client's project and automate pairing process successfully. And the project also concluded successfully. And now we use this robotic arm and in any projects which requires direct user interaction with system under test. And yeah, that's all from my end. If you have any question or if you have anything in your mind, you can ask in chat or you can contact me over LinkedIn. So yeah, that's all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Umit. Could you please, so we will just wrap up. Could you please switch to the slide with our agenda or something like this? I just shortly wrap up what we have done. So this one, like this one, yes. So today we've done the following. With one simple test application, we first automated the tests that they are running. We were able to run them on our local machines, which was obviously not good enough. But we also very quickly integrated this in just standard mainstream tool Jenkins with pipelines to be able to share the runs and the results and to schedule them, for example, to run nightly for the whole team, for the whole project. Then we pepped up the reporting, so it's not just typical text log files where you can find some information, but it's very time consuming to search in it and to understand what's happening by using the modern report tool like Alu report. And then we have scaled everything up with using of Selenoid and Selenium nodes, Selenium nodes in container. So it's also typical situation to use these containers and scaling in the cloud, which saves time and money, and it enables you to execute even very large suites in time which is like under 30 minutes or so. In
Alexei,
every project.
I should interrupt because really the other main hall is almost started and they are waiting for our guests. But it was very great and really perfect workshop that I ever seen for 2 days. In fact, I even do not have a background on Java, but I also learned something. As a 25 years of development after that, I learned lots of things. Thank you very much for both of you. And all the attendees, thank you for your time. For the second